Hey everybody, Hipster username here. Excited to do another Canvas drive-through, but before I do, wanted to share a couple of quick updates. The team's hard at work on one of the biggest architectural backend updates we've ever made to the Invoke system. It's going to make developing on our platform even easier for any contributors who are willing to help us build Invoke's future. And it'll also allow us to build a lot of the cool stuff that's out there and on our backlog much more quickly. So stay tuned. As always, you'll see those updates soon. But today, we're just going to do another drive-through. And this time I'm going to walk through a little bit more of creating a full scene using the tools in Invoke's Unified Canvas. So go ahead and follow along. I'm not going to break down the prompting like I did last time, just to save a couple of minutes and hopefully get right into the creation. I've kind of put together a pretty basic prompt here, serene mountain forest lake sunset. I think that'll give us some good outputs. Maybe want a couple of negative prompts here. Sketch, amateur real estate, listing, and superheroes. Just leave it at superhero. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger here on the canvas. Do something like this. I've got all of my settings ready to go, and I'm just going to go ahead and start roughing in a scene. What I'll do is I'll just generate a text to image and then do a bit of outpainting, and then we'll see what we have ended up with. And you'll notice for that last one, I made this a lot wider than I normally would and stretched it out. That's primarily because I wanted to make sure I caught this sun in the context of the generation. Otherwise, it was going to try to create probably another sun somewhere. That's more of just trying to prevent any issues that we might see, but overall we've got a rough in here of what we were hoping to get out of this. Now, I think, you know, there's obviously a lot of like really crunchy details in here. It kind of looks pixelated. It's not as stylistic as I wanted. And so what we're going to do is we're going to fix that. We're going to go through and piece by piece put together kind of a more stylistic or spiritually aligned version of what this might be. Now, what I could probably do is maybe go ahead and take out some of the terms here. We'll say oil painting, deep impasto. The deep impasto is a style that has a very, very noticeable texture on the brush strokes. We'll throw in a dry brush in there. We don't want facial features. I'm not sure how that got into the prompt. Luckily, we didn't end up with any faces in here. But we very clearly have something to work with here that I think will be okay. So I'm going to take this down maybe a little bit on the image-to-image strength, and then I'm going to run this whole thing through image-to-image. Still getting a little bit more realistic of a output. So I'm just going to put photography in, maybe nature photography. And this could be a bad idea, primarily because nature photography might be very related to a lot of the concepts we do want to get out of this, but we'll go ahead and try this. Yeah, that didn't turn out well at all. So we'll take out nature. Maybe we'll just take out photo. Oh, that's coming through as well. Maybe we need to make sure we got our seed. So if you ever get that kind of interaction, I'm going to undo here so you can see it. This type of very, very oversaturated and busted looking outputs, what it can mean is sometimes you've left your seed off of randomize. So if you're dealing with the same seed and you do the same image to image over that seed, a lot of that is going to start creating this feedback loop in the backend process of image generation that ends up in resulting in this type of output. So we don't like that. We're going to leave randomized seed on, and we'll do this again. And I think we'll get a much better output this time. Yeah, this is definitely better. Still want to push it through a couple more times, so we'll go ahead and do a couple more. And I'm going to add a couple more terms in here. Yeah, okay, we'll give that a try. Okay, so we're starting to get a much more artistic look of this than the kind of original photography look. Everything down in this area is definitely looking like painting. And these clouds are starting to get that painting look as well. All right, I'm going to do this a couple more times because I'm starting to see some things I really like. And I think just feeding this back through will emphasize those even more. Okay. Very good. Now, there are some things I don't like about this. I think we've kind of gotten this very high contrast look here. We're seeing kind of a color overload from the sunset. Everything's kind of got this pinkish reddish hue, which might be okay, but ultimately I think is kind of creating a little bit of a bad composition here. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go in and do some details on the forest and maybe try to get some different trees in here, some of the colors a little bit back to their normal evergreen state, and we'll see how that looks. All right, so didn't exactly go the way that I was planning. You know, I think this is the nature of this, as you start to play around with it and you recognize you made a couple mistakes. So what has happened here is it's turned all of my trees into kind of these like very green illustrated lettuce leaves, which is a very interesting style, but not exactly what I was going for. And then this is turned into like a large hill. So I am going to try something else here. I'm going to do a lot of small tree details and see if I can pick back up this kind of like pine tree look. Alright, so we're starting to get some of that back, and I am liking it a little bit more than it was before. Let's take a look at what we've got. So some areas where there's still needed here. Reduce the image damage just a little bit, give it some more flexibility. So I got this island, and there's definitely some like seam issues over here, so I'll go ahead and fix those. And I don't like this back island over here, so I might zoom in a little bit because I think this needs some more specific context. A little bit more. Starting to look a little bit better. So we're going to need to fix some of this stuff over here. That is not good. We need to turn down our image to image strength here. I think we're probably just going to need to pass in some color, take out this blob. And we need to fix these trees here that got taken into a weird way by this. So let's go ahead and do that. Don't want to lose all of our color here, so let's do this. A little bit. kind of full circle back to what we originally had, unfortunately. So not exactly what I was hoping to do. I do think it ended up looking a little bit better. Grassy view. Just go ahead and turn this into a grassy landscape here. Okay, so that added a lot of what I was hoping to get originally, which is just a little bit more color variation. We've got a little bit more yellows and greens. So that looks a lot better. And actually gives us a little bit of a landscape here to add in some more characters or space. I do notice it added a kind of a artificially generated signature over here, so we'll just kind of like pop that guy out. And then we'll do some of this stuff down here. Seems to have added a little stream here. Unintended. Question is, do we like the stream? I don't think I do. So I'm going to take it away. It's, for whatever reason, really wanting to add that in, so let's do stream. It's not what we want to see. Okay, that's much better. And now, as we get to this corner, you'll notice that there's kind of this rough edge, both where there was some in-painting done on the edge, and it's kind of like it doesn't fit. So I'm going to select that area, as well as do this outpainting here, and that'll just help me give a little bit more flexibility for this thing to add some more seams. Okay, and it really did not outpaint very well there. I think it picked up a lot of the colors from in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, again, brush over this, try to get it a little bit more aligned from a color perspective. And then I'll just in-paint that one more time. And then we'll find this happy middle spot here and just in-paint over here just to give it a little bit more of a seam. Make a little bit more sense. Okay. And now we've got kind of this nice little valley coming down into the lake, and then this area over here, which looks pretty cool. Now, as I look at this, I think to myself that there probably needs to be some form of a character looking down into this beautiful view with us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. I'm going to add a figure here. You notice I'm using kind of a transparent brush here, and that's just primarily to leave a little bit more of the imagination in here. It gives it a little bit more color variation and lets the noise do a little bit more work as it's going in and doing the in-painting. It's a little bit of a weird shape for a horse. We'll leave it. We'll see what we get. And then I'm going to have a rider. And we'll change our prompt to rider on a horse. Staring away. Grassy view. And we'll see what we get. It seems to be riding the other way. Let's give ourselves a couple of options here. This is probably more of what I had in mind. We've got a couple of missing elements for this person, but that's okay. We can fill them in. So I'm going to take my brush, fill in her head area. A couple of options here. All of which I'm now noticing look a little bit off. Now, one thing that you'll notice is like, you know, I've selected both the top and the bottom here to fix at the same time. That can sometimes be a bad idea. It can make it more difficult for the system to kind of pick up what I'm really trying to change. And so what I may do is take that out. I may focus in a little bit more to get some more attention to detail here. And then I'll just leave it at the bottom, not the top for now, and try to get that fixed. Now it looks a little bit better. I'm gonna take this and try to fix the legs entirely. We'll go ahead and accept that one. And I'll go ahead and add some more hair here to this woman. We'll try the head one more time. Looks the best, I think. Still a little bit of weirdness on the back of this horse, so I'm going to try to just go ahead and do some general editing here of the horse. We need to increase this a little bit so that his legs move around. Alright, we still got 5 legs. What we're going to do here is we're going to cut this guy out. Actually, you know what? I think this is going to be better if we just go ahead and give it the freedom to replace the whole thing. So let's do that. Set the strength a little high. All of these still have some weirdness in the legs. So I'm going to take this one, because it's the least weird, decrease the strength a tad bit more. And something that I'm noticing is these trees are extremely tiny over here. I think we probably want to go ahead and remove those. And I'm just finding all of the areas around this that maybe have a little bit of weird seam issues from the in-painting process and going and including that as well. Realizing I probably created some over here now, so let's get that fixed. Now I want to go ahead and give some more detail to the mountains. Go ahead and zoom in a little bit there. And what you'll notice is if you change something that has a reflection, you're going to want to include the reflection in your end painting as well. I like that one the best. There's some weird artifacts here that we're going to have to clean up, I think. I do think this one probably needs some more trees, so I'm just going to zoom in here, get my brush, and then add some more. This one probably looks the best. It's got these like little islands there, kind of continuing that theme. Then I think we just need to fix these clouds at the top. So it's going to be a little bit ambitious. Soft clouds, billowy. focus just on the clouds and see if I can get some more. I really think that I want some more soft clouds, and so I think this deep impasto and dry brush is probably impacting that. So I'm going to do soft oil painting instead, and I took out those other references. I think that'll give me a little bit more texture I'm looking for. Still not quite there. Let me try this. Just gonna try to lighten it up a little bit. I think the dark colors are definitely impacting that a little bit. That's okay. I can deal with that. We'll just gonna bring that over here. Add maybe night sky. Digging that, and we'll just kind of blend that over a little bit. So I'm going to go back over these trees one more time, just because I think I want them to be a little bit softer. And now that we've changed up our prompt a little bit, I think it'll play a little bit more nicely with how the... And now that we've changed up our prompt a little bit, I think it'll play a little bit more nicely with what we're looking to get. Full island. At sunset. Gentle island of pine trees at sunset. If we up the strength a little bit, if we can get it to do a little bit more. Yeah, I like those a lot better. And then I'm going to zoom in on this island specifically to get some more detail here. Try to not hit the edges of our bounding box. Looking over this, I think I'm relatively happy with where we landed. So if I were to spend some more time on this, I think there's probably some proportions on the horse that would need some fiddling with. We might be able to get some more detail there. Some of these trees also could probably go in and get some refinement by individually, focusing on each area and trying to get trees to look, perfect. Again, this is kind of just a quick run through of how you can get the composition ironed out. And then as far as adding more detail, it really is just a matter of going in, focusing in on a specific area and tuning those individual bits. But for today, this will give us pretty much everything we need to kind of feel like we got a pretty good rough-in on a composition, and I think this serves the purpose. So we'll leave it at that. Thanks again for watching. We've got more updates on the way and more content like this, so stay tuned, subscribe, and like, and we'll see you back again soon.